tarian pembukaan dari penari-penari pesara tari Universiti Malaysia Terengganu.
Thank you to UMT's dance troupe Pesada Tari for that magnificent performance.
Para hadirin diminta untuk terus berdiri bagi nyanyian lagu negaraku dan juga lagu ASEAN.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the national anthem of Malaysia and the ASEAN anthem.
Para hadirin dijemput duduk.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, salam keluarga Malaysia. Yang berbahagia, Datuk Wira Dr. Noor Zari bin Hamat, Ketua Setiausaha Kementerian Pelancongan Seni dan Budaya Malaysia. Yang berusaha Encik Muhammad Azmi bin Muhammad Yusof, Ketua Pengarah Jabatan Warisan Negara Merangkap Pesuruhjaya Warisan. Yang berbahagia, Profesor Dr. Mazlan bin Ghaffar, Naib Chancellor Universiti Malaysia Terengganu. Encik Jonathan Tan Gi Tiong, Ketua Bahagian Budaya dan Informasi Bahagian Sosio Budaya Komuniti ASEAN, Sekretariat ASEAN di Jakarta. Yang berusaha pengarah-pengarah jabatan, pengarah-pengarah negeri, pegawai kanan dari Jabatan Warisan Negara dan Universiti Malaysia Terengganu. Terlebih dahulu bagi pihak penganjur majlis, saya ingin mengucapkan selamat datang ke seminar ASEAN mengenai pemeliharaan dan perlindungan warisan kebudayaan di bawah air 2021.
the Honourable Datuk Wira Dr. Noor Zari bin Hamat, Secretary General of the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Malaysia, the Honourable Mr. Muhammad Azmi bin Muhammad Yusof, Commissioner of Heritage from the Department of National Heritage, the Honourable Professor Dr. Mazlan bin Abdul Ghaffar, Vice Chancellor of the Universiti Malaysia Terengganu, Mr. Jonathan Tan Githiong, Head of the Culture and Information Division, ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community Department at the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta, senior officials from the Department of National Heritage and from Universiti Malaysia Terengganu, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the organizing committee, welcome to the ASEAN Seminar on Preservation and Protection of Underwater Cultural Heritage 2021.
Memulakan acara pada hari ini, majlis ingin menjemput Al-Fadil Ustaz Muhammad Zakaria bin Muhammad untuk memimpin bacaan doa. Dipersilakan.
To begin our opening ceremony, we'd like to invite Ustaz Muhammad Zakaria bin Muhammad to lead us in a short prayer.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To brother Muslims, let's put our hand together while I recite this dua. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Al-Malikil Quddusis Salamil Mu'min. Al-Hayyil Qayyum. Dhil Jalali wal Ikram. Wassalatu wassalamu ala abdihi wa rasulih. سيدنا محمد المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وهداية للناس أجمعين نحمدك اللهم على ما أنعمت علينا من النعم وبمنك وكرمك يا أكرم الأكرمين. All praise to you, Ya Allah, the mighty, the most great and most merciful. Only praise and gratitude can we express your majesty, Ya Allah, for having granted the prayers of the assembly as well as our hopes. Glory be to you, Ya Allah, for bestowing the blessing of safety and well-being throughout the visit until it is safe to go home. Ya Allah, may we ask you to give us good and to protect us from evil. Salamun qawlan min Rabbir Rahim. Allahumma ya Rahman ya Rahim. Ya Allah, we gathered here for the ASEAN Seminar on Preservation and Protection of the Underwater Cultural Heritage 2021. With your grace and blessing, we are able to proceed this event as planned. Through this humble supplication, we express our gratitude for this opportunity, and we seek you, Ya Allah, endless guidance and blessing in our present and our future endeavors. May all participants benefit from this event and bring betterment for the Ummah, Ya Rabb. Allahumma ya mujib as-sa'ilin. Ya Allah, we ask you to make this seminar able to bring success toward the common good, strengthen existing relationships, and add more friendship that has been established for so long. Allahumma ya hafizu ya alim. Ya Allah, you encompass everything in mercy and knowledge. Therefore, forgive us for our wrongdoings and grants us good in this life and hereafter. Allahumma ya Allah, the most merciful, here we come to our weakness. In you we place our hope and trust. To you we turn in our time of need. We pray to you with your blessing and mercy to live and end the COVID-19 outbreak, which is threatening the whole country and the world. Allahumma ja'al jam'ana hadha jam'an marhuma wa tafarruqana min ba'dihi tafarruqan ma'suma wa la taj'al Allahumma fina wa la ma'ana shaqiyyan wa la mahruma برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin amin ya rabbal alamin. Terima kasih kepada Ustaz Muhammad Zakaria bin Muhammad atas pimpinan bacaan doa sebentar tadi.
Thank you, Ustaz, for your recital of the dua.
Baiklah, para hadirin sekalian, selamat datang ke program Seminar ASEAN mengenai pemeliharaan dan perlindungan warisan kebudayaan bawah air 2021. Seminar ini mengumpulkan 10 pembentangan kertas kerja wakil dari negara-negara ASEAN iaitu Brunei Darussalam, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos PDR, Malaysia, Myanmar, Filipina, Singapura, Thailand dan Vietnam. Dan akhirnya kita akan mendengar majlis pengulungan daripada Sekretariat ASEAN. Menerusi program ini, mereka akan membentangkan dan berkongsi ilmu kepakaran di dalam bidang kajian warisan kebudayaan di bawah air. Memandangkan wabak pandemik COVID-19 yang melanda seluruh dunia, maka dengan ini program telah diadakan secara hybrid, iaitu secara fizikal dan juga maya dengan menjemput wakil kedutaan negara dari negara ASEAN serta Sekretariat ASEAN. Program ini sebenarnya telah dimulakan dengan Majlis Pelancaran ASEAN Underwater Mini Landmark ataupun OMIL yang telah berjalan pada 8 November yang lalu yang dirasmikan oleh Yang Berhormat Menteri Pelancongan Seni dan Budaya Malaysia. Manakala seminar pada hari ini pula merupakan penutup bagi keseluruhan program ASEAN. Seminar ini turut diselang-seli dengan video pelancaran serta video penyelidikan arkeologi bawah air bawah air di Pulau Bidung bagi memberi pendedahan dan berkongsi pengetahuan serta memperjelaskan lagi fungsi arkeologi bawah air dalam kajian lanjutan, pengembangan dan kesedaran warisan yang telah dijalankan dalam norma baru. Tema untuk seminar tahun ini ialah Charting the Course for Underwater Cultural Heritage, Bridging Global Civilization.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ASEAN Seminar on the Preservation and Protection of Underwater Cultural Heritage 2021. This program has gathered representatives from the countries of ASEAN, namely Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, PDR, Malaysia, Myanmar, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. And at the end of it, we will also hear from the ASEAN Secretary. We look forward to hearing from these distinguished representatives who will present and share their expertise in the field of underwater cultural heritage studies. The worldwide COVID-19 pandemic has caused all manner of problems, which is why this seminar is being held in hybrid format, with presentations being held both physically and virtually. This is a prime example of how when a door closes, there's always a window that we can climb through. Isn't that right, Azrin?
Ya, betul.
So preceding this seminar was the launch of the ASEAN Underwater Mini Landmark or AUMIL, on the 8th of November 2021, which was officiated by the Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture of Malaysia. Besides hearing from the representatives of nations, we'll also be seeing footage showing that launch and the research of underwater archaeological efforts on Bidong Island. The theme for this year's seminar is Charting the Course for Underwater Cultural Heritage, Bridging Global Civilization.
Baiklah para hadirin sekalian, majlis pagi ini dimulakan dengan ucapan aluan dari Profesor Dr. Mazlan bin Abdul Ghaffar, Naib Chancellor Universiti Malaysia Terengganu. Dengan segala hormatnya, dipersilakan.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now hear a few words from Professor Dr. Mazlan bin Abdul Ghaffar, Vice Chancellor of Universiti Malaysia Terengganu. Over to you, Professor.
Thank you, both MC, for this morning. Yang berbahagia Datuk Wira, Dr. Noor Zari bin Hamat, Secretary General, Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture Malaysia. Yang Berusaha Mr. Muhammad Azmi Muhammad Yusof, Commissioner of Heritage, Department of National Heritage, Mr. Jonathan Tangi Tiong, Head of the Culture and Information Division, ASEAN Social Cultural Community Department at the ASEAN Secretary in Jakarta, senior officers from Department of National Heritage and from Universiti Malaysia Terengganu, my colleague this morning, Datuk Rahimnik, YDSM representative, distinguished guests, distinguished and esteemed participants and presenters, ASEAN representative, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning, everybody. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome everyone to today's event, especially our guest of honor, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Wira, Dr. Noor Zari bin Hamat, Secretary General, Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Malaysia, or we call it MOTaC. On the behalf of Universiti Malaysia Terengganu, I would also like to extend a sincere appreciation to Yang Berusaha Prof. Madya Dr. Wan Zuhainis binti Saad, Director of Academic Excellence Division from Department of Higher Education, for joining us this morning via WebEx. Thank you. I would also like to welcome the Honourable speakers to this event to discuss the initiative of underwater archaeologists and relevant agencies in ASEAN member states in navigating the challenge of protecting underwater cultural heritage. With a focus on national and regional protection of ASEAN cultural heritage, which stated in the 2000 ASEAN Declaration on Cultural Heritage, we should engage young peoples on the heritage preservation and documentation and encourage them to promote heritage and culture values. I hope that throughout this event, you will consider how we should manage the challenges we all face concerning the increasing impact of protection of our precious underwater cultural heritage, and how we can ensure that the recommendations and practical solutions put forth by experts should be executed systematically to benefit the current and future ASEAN generations. The ASEAN Seminars on Preservation and Protection of the Underwater Cultural Heritage is an international seminar, collaboration, presentation of country report by participating world-leading experts from ASEAN member states, including Brunei Darussalam, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam, who will be sharing significant findings with the world. The key messages are to raise awareness to the importance of developing measures for protection and management of underwater cultural heritage. Today's seminar is very important as the combination of knowledge, experience, and information is the basis to help us plan a more comprehensive work to preserve our underwater cultural heritage. The different approaches that may be adopted by each representative of ASEAN country in ensuring the sustainability of underwater cultural heritage can be presented here in this seminar, so that others might use them to improve the process in their respective agencies in their countries. Fully appreciating the magnitude of the challenge and significance of these key message and finding, UMT as an academic entity has also partnered with the Department of National Heritage, the agency under Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Malaysia, Terengganu Museum, Uzma Senjam Berhad as part of the dedication to protect the underwater cultural heritage, especially the Bidong shipwreck. Here, I would like to address the famous quote by the American Indian proverb, which is, "We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. In the context of today's seminar, we should focus on how to put more effort to ensure the underwater heritage can be seen and appreciated by the future generation. Ladies and gentlemen, UMT sees this event as a platform to devise plans based on the accumulated knowledge generated by international collaboration, such as the ASEAN Seminar on Preservation and Protection of the Underwater Cultural Heritage. Planned with effective implementation, we secure a more prosperous future for every treasure of underwater archaeology and for the next generation to come. This is in line with the theme of today's seminar, Charting the Course for Underwater Cultural Heritage, Bridging Global Civilization. On behalf of UMT's management team, I would also like to highlight here that we strongly support the ideas and initiative to preserve and protect our underwater cultural heritage. The preservation and protection of our cultural heritage is important because it will well reflect our past civilization, relationship, and identity of the nation state. In keeping with this spirit, I would also like to extend the consent of the Honourable Minister of MOTaC, Yang Berhormat Datuk Sri Hajah Nancy Sukri, on the establishment of the first underwater archaeological training center in Malaysia at UMT. I believe this unit will have the crucial task of managing the underwater archaeological training center at Pulau Bidong and UMT. I do hope that this unit will work hand in hand with the government agencies, especially Department of National Heritage and other related stakeholders, to strengthen the underwater archaeological activities in Malaysia. I hope this small effort from UMT will garner a strong support from stakeholders at the state and national level, with the strong support from the others. I expect that we will be able to ease the transfer of knowledge to those who are interested in deepening their knowledge related to underwater archaeology. Meanwhile, in the context of this event, I also firmly believe that all of us should make the best effort to initiate ASEAN-wide collaborative project to speed up the transformation for overcoming the challenges posed by the pandemic in organizational operation and underwater cultural heritage. Furthermore, measures and interventions should be implemented based on today's seminar to ensure the preservation and protection of underwater cultural heritage remains relevant. On the notes, I thank all the audience in the hall and those who are with us virtually and wish you every success in collaborating towards building a more promising and vibrant future for all the 7.9 billion of the global population. And last but not least, great appreciation goes to the organizing committee from various agencies for making the event a success. I hope that this seminar will be a good platform for representatives from ASEAN countries to share their experiences and to gain awareness on the protection of underwater cultural heritage. Thank you very much. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih diucapkan kepada Profesor Dr. Mazlan bin Abdul Ghaffar atas ucapan sebentar tadi. Dan majlis seterusnya dengan penuh takzim ingin mempersilakan Yang Berbahagia Datuk Wira Dr. Noor Zari bin Hamat, Ketua Setiausaha Kementerian Pelancongan Seni dan Budaya Malaysia untuk menyampaikan ucap tama seterusnya merasmikan seminar pada hari ini.
We now invite the Honourable Datuk Wira Dr. Noor Zari bin Hamat, Secretary General of the Ministry for Tourism, Arts and Culture of Malaysia, to say a few words and to officiate this program.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wa bihi nasta'in. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya'i wa mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Thank you to both of the MCs. Mr. Azmi bin Muhammad Yusof, Director General, Commissioner of Heritage Department, Commissioner of Heritage, Department of National Heritage, Asia, Professor Dr. Mazlan Abdul Ghaffar, Vice Chancellor, Universiti Malaysia, Terengganu, Mr. Jonathan Tan Gi Tiong from the ASEAN Secretariat, friends from the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, MOTaC, and also from the Universiti Malaysia, Terengganu, esteemed speakers and underwater archaeology experts from ASEAN countries, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, again, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. All the praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His compassion in allowing us to convene here today for the ASEAN Seminar on Preservation and Protection of the Underwater Cultural Heritage. It is my pleasure to welcome everyone to this seminar, and on behalf of MOTaC, I wish to thank Universiti Malaysia Terengganu and the Department of National Heritage for making this hybrid seminar a reality. I would also like to place on record my appreciation to the ASEAN Secretariat and also the Terengganu State Government for their tremendous support towards this program. Theme: Charting the Course for Underwater Cultural Heritage, Bridging Global Civilization. This seminar convenes underwater archaeology representatives from 10 ASEAN countries who will be sharing their knowledge, expertise, and experiences in managing underwater cultural heritage. I am sure that this seminar is part of all of us ongoing efforts to highlight the role we must play in whatever capacity we are to ensure our country's importance and precious assets is protected from any threat of any activities. Let me first describe the role of MOTaC in driving sustainable conservation of cultural heritage. The vision of the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture Malaysia, MOTaC, is Malaysia culturally rich, sustainable destination, and our mission is empowering the tourism industry, ecosystem, and cultural inclusiveness. The term sustainable in our vision statement denotes preserving and protecting our rich cultural heritage, including underwater cultural heritage and sites in Malaysia. These heritage assets are important tourism products that must be managed sustainably. MOTaC has recently launched the Dasar Kebudayaan Negara, or Natural Cultural Policy. It outlines 39 strategies and 95 action plans over a period of 5 years. One of the thrusts emphasizes in this policy is the importance of preserving and protecting our cultural and heritage treasures. It shows that how important is the topic that we are going to discuss today in the context of national cultural policy. The National Heritage Act 2005 is the most prominent act in protecting heritage assets, including underwater cultural heritage in Malaysia. The scope of this act is wider and more comprehensive than Antiquities Act 1976, which it replaced. As mentioned in this act, it aims to provide for the conservation and preservation of national heritage, natural heritage, tangible and intangible cultural heritage, underwater cultural heritage, treasure trove, and for related matters. It was tabled to the Parliament on the 6th December 2005 and came into effect on the 1st March 2006. It clearly shows that underwater cultural heritage has been mentioned clearly in this act. This act also clarifies clarified the scope and definition of heritage to include not only tangible, but also intangible, as recommended and is practiced in many developed countries. The scope and definition of heritage in this country now, as defined in the Act, closely resembles the scope and definitions adopted or recommended by UNESCO and ICOMOS. The Act also clarifies the management of heritage in the country. It empowers the minister to issue policies, statements, or directives with regards to heritage protection and activities. In general, the Act ensures both federal and state authorities are in agreement on any decisions made on heritage matters, thus conflict can be avoided or minimized. To administer the country's heritage and to carry out the powers and functions of the Act, the government, a Commissioner of Heritage is appointed under this Act. His numerous functions include to determine the designation of sites, registration of objects and underwater cultural heritage, to establish and maintain the register and to determine and specify the categories of heritage to be listed in the register, to establish and maintain liaison and cooperation with the state authorities in respect of conservation and preservation of heritage matters. As we all know, underwater cultural heritage in ASEAN region offers great opportunities for research, sustainable development, and tourism within the shared water of several countries. This invaluable historical and cultural heritage is a reflection of the rich history of the East Coast states of Malaysia, which were in fact the crossroads of maritime trade dating back nearly 4,000 years. In order to appreciate underwater cultural heritage, certain sites has been gazetted as an underwater cultural heritage zone under the National Heritage Act 2005. For example, Bidong Island, a site in Terengganu. MOTaC encourage relevant parties to carry out research in that particular site because we believe that these sites are associated with the subject of historical anecdotes and a national treasure, enticing history and nature lovers to visit. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, studies have shown that the underwater cultural heritage influences socio-economic and cultural development of the local community. For example, in the state of Terengganu, is a home to many magnificent cultural and heritage sites and islands. Apart from this beautiful state is also steeped in tradition and heritage, some of which include traditional handcrafted arts like brassware, batik, traditional bookmaking, and wood carving. MOTaC is committed to continue working closely with state governments and relevant stakeholders to safeguard underwater cultural heritage. The ministry acknowledges that the scientific field in this area needs to be explored so that the treasures of our territorial waters can be better protected, conserved, and potentially optimized. I am pleased to note that the state of Terengganu has developed a robust and sustainable development plan aimed at boosting the economic and tourism industry in Bidong Island. It is also aligned with the ministry's aim in developing the island as a hub for underwater archaeological, cultural heritage, and conservation research for researchers, academics, and students. Ladies and gentlemen, I will now touch on digitalization as a preservation strategy of national heritage. It would be an understatement to say that the intellectual discourse has not been impacted by COVID-19. The onset of the pandemic was tough on all of us, especially in terms of our inability to connect and engage physically. However, despite our initial aversion to technology, I am proud to say that we have managed to stay resilient and keep conservations going through the effective use of e-platforms. Today's seminar, organized in a hybrid manner, is a testimony that sharing of information in terms of history, technical equipment, expertise, and experiences can be shared and disseminated across the ASEAN region, albeit virtually. The Department of National Heritage plays an important role in fulfilling its commitment under the National Heritage Act 2005. In addition to enforcing the Act, the Department also conducts research, gazetting and enforcing, as well as conserving archaeological relics, sites, monuments, buildings, intangible heritage, and also the natural heritage. The vision of the National Heritage Department is to lead the exploration and preservation of heritage treasures towards the core of the nation's identity while boosting the country's economy through the tourism and cultural sectors. According to the latest list, there are 889 archaeological sites throughout Malaysia, of which 736 are inland and 153 are underwater sites. Around 1,378 artifacts from various underwater archaeological sites have been recorded under the department's repository, not to mention other artifacts from museums and collectors. 5 areas has been gazetted as protection zones for underwater cultural heritage under Section 64 of the Act. Protecting these sites is a great trust and responsibility and must be carried out in accordance with the provisions of law as enshrined in the National Heritage Act 2005 with the full support of Malaysians. And now I would like to touch on my opinion on the way forward for underwater cultural heritage preservation and protection in Malaysia. The development of underwater archaeological research in Malaysia has spanned more than 3 decades, a period that we have seen this field strengthen in terms of its research, technology, and research findings. Malaysia are looking forward to preserve and protect underwater cultural heritage by focusing its legal provisions, finance, technology, expertise, and more. But that as it may, this area has begun to see positive developments following the enactment of the National Heritage Act 2005. Malaysian authorities are fully aware that the activities of underwater treasure hunters and have already taken steps to curb lootings in local waters using existing marine enforcement agencies. Besides that, establishing regional cooperation, especially in terms of marine archaeological research and training, is an important step towards safeguarding our common underwater archaeological heritage. I trust the topic that will be presented and discussed today will be of great importance in pivoting the underwater cultural heritage sustainable development future direction. I am confident that all participants here will be able to take away many insights on how proper guidelines and case studies can improve the underwater cultural heritage management and development. I call on all stakeholders to work together to embrace the best practices in the protection and preservation of our underwater cultural heritage. In this regard, I urge experts from the ASEAN member states to develop collective and forward-looking response to support regional policies, platforms, and align resources and expertise to complement existing countries' action. Tailored capacity building program in developing expertise and research in the underwater cultural heritage and establishment of virtual sites are among the possible collaboration to explore or to strengthen if it is already exists. And now I would like to touch on the importance of underwater cultural heritage to the tourism industry. Tourism and culture are seen as two powerful drivers for growth in many parts of the world. Tourism and culture play a vital role in fostering a greater understanding of the rich diversity of regional cultures. Cultural tourism is an inevitable component of cultural heritage. Tourism has a power to deliver significant earnings for environmental protection as well as giving economic value to cultural heritage. Tourism sector is a sector built on bringing people together in order to learn about and understand each other, fostering mutual respect and tolerance. Recent study revealed that 37% of the global tourism has a cultural motivation. 37% of the global tourism has a cultural motivation. Culture and heritage tourists often stay longer and spend a lot more money in general than other tourists do. In fact, one study showed that a culture and heritage tourists spend as more as 38% higher per day, and they stay 22% longer overall compared to other kinds of travelers. In fact, a study showed that visitors to London is not because of the city, but because of the cultural aspect that can be found in London. In this regard, MOTaC has launched Malaysia's National Tourism Policy in December 2020. This policy is a transformation agenda towards harnessing the competitiveness of Malaysian tourism industry. More importantly, that I would like to share with everyone here is that one of the focus area in this national tourism policy is the cultural and heritage tourism, aims at strengthening the preservation of Malaysia's tangible and intangible cultural heritage as valuable assets for showcasing the country's identity through creative tourism. I think this is something that very relevant to what we are discussing today. In this national tourism policy, we clearly stated that one of the important ingredients for us to strengthen the tourism industry is to focus on the preservation of Malaysia's tangible and intangible cultural heritage. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now I come to my conclusion. Underwater cultural heritage holds a vast potential for valuable science, research, and education. Submerged prehistoric sites are of the highest importance for understanding the development of human civilization. I think we are in line with the theme today. I repeat again, submerged prehistoric sites are of the highest importance for understanding the development of human civilization. Therefore, I believe the theme of the seminar will be able to explore the civilization of this region based on the evidence for the underwater cultural heritage. I believe that the theme of the seminar will be able to explore how civilization grows in this region based on the evidence from the underwater cultural heritage. For example, I'll give you an example here. Historic shipwrecks could provide vital information on past cultural interchanges, trade and mutual influences, while sunken cities, dwellings and religious sites reveal important data on local life, religious ceremonies and sacrifices. And I would like to quote a very interesting quotation here. The underwater cultural heritage is indeed a legacy for humanity. The underwater cultural heritage that we are discussing today is indeed a legacy for humanity. Again, my parting note, I would like again thank the organizing committee comprising of MOTaC, Department of National Heritage, UMT, the Terengganu State Government, and the ASEAN Secretariat for organizing this event. I would also like to extend my appreciation to all of our speakers and participants for your attendance and support. On that note, I hereby declare the ASEAN Seminar of Preservation and Protection of Underwater Cultural Heritage opened. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Terima kasih kepada Datuk Wira Dr. Noor Zari. Diminta untuk Datuk Wira terus berada di atas pentas bagi upacara gimik pelancaran seminar ini. Dijemput juga div-div kehormat untuk sama-sama berada di atas pentas. Dipersilakan.
We shall now proceed with the launching ceremony for this seminar. All the guests of honor are invited to join in on this launch on the stage.
Baik, demikian tadi gimik pelancaran yang telah disempurnakan oleh Yang Berbahagia Datuk Wira Noor Zari bin Hamat di atas pentas bersama div-div terhormat. Dan seterusnya, diminta untuk terus berada di atas pentas bagi upacara penyampaian cermata daripada Naib Chancellor Universiti Malaysia Terengganu kepada Yang Berbahagia Datuk Wira dan juga Encik Azmi.
Thank you. The Vice-Chancellor shall now give out souvenirs to the distinguished guests.
Terima kasih Profesor. Dan seterusnya kita akan terus dengan upacara photoshoot beramai-ramai sama-sama dengan Div Kehormat dan juga para pembentang serta para peserta. Diminta kepada para peserta serta pembentang untuk membuka kamera di telefon bimbit, di laptop ataupun di komputer anda untuk sama-sama kita merangkamkan gambar beramai-ramai secara online.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now take a family portrait. Can you please turn on your cameras so that we can take a snapshot of this very historic occasion? Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Okey, baik masing-masing. Boleh senyum?
Get your smile ready, everybody.
Right. Dalam kiraan 3, kita akan sebut ASEAN. Okey? Okey, stand by.
Ready?
1, 2, 3. Say ASEAN.
ASEAN.
Okey, teknikal team. Baik, terima kasih kepada semua. Terima kasih juga kepada div-div kehormat yang telah pun sama-sama menjayakan photoshoot sebentar tadi.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Baiklah para hadirin sekalian, majlis pagi ini dengan akan diteruskan dan ingin menjemput Yang Berusaha Encik Muhammad Azmi bin Muhammad Yusof, Ketua Pengarah Jabatan Warisan Negara merangkap Pesuruh Jaya Warisan bagi menyampaikan ucapan pengenalan. Dengan segala hormatnya dipersilakan.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now invite the Director General of the Department of Natural Heritage, Mr. Muhammad Azmi bin Muhammad Yusof, to deliver the introductory speech.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, salam keluarga Malaysia, salam kenali, sayangi dan lestari warisan kita. And thank you to both MC and a very good morning to all distinguished respected guests. The Honourable Datuk Wira, Dr. Noor bin Hamat, Secretary General, Ministry of Tourism, Art and Culture, Malaysia, MOTaC. Professor Dr. Mazlan bin Abdul Ghaffar, Vice Chancellor, Universiti Malaysia Terengganu. Mr. Jonathan Tangi Tiong, Head of Culture and Information Division, Asian Socio-Culture Community Department at the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta. Senior Officer from Department of National Heritage and Universiti Malaysia Terengganu. On behalf of the organizing committee, welcome to ASEAN Seminar on Preservation and Protection of the Underwater Culture Heritage 2021. Alhamdulillah, praise to Allah Almighty, we are all given the opportunity to be together on this historic day. My deep gratitude to all the organizing committees and archaeological experts of Asian countries and all participants in attending today's knowledge-sharing session in the effort to understand, appreciate, and subsequently share our heritage. Those for which the blessing on the effort shown. The Seminar of Preservation
and protection of the underwater cultural heritage can be successfully organized. Organizing such seminar is seen as one of the joint efforts on a virtual platform gathering all archaeologists from all over the ASEAN country and abroad to create solidarity and capacity building of comprehensive knowledge between nations. International recognition and support that have been achieved has certainly provided a brighter opportunity to make more sites to be protected and gazetted as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, the territorial water of the Southeast Asia have never been seen silent for the passing voyage of the large and small ships actively known for economic, political, and social activities since the 1st century. However, not all sailing vessels have smoothly arrived at its destination. Some are stranded in the middle of the way as a result of the beaten storm, crashing from corals all among themselves, technical errors, leaks, no less sinking due to pirate and war attacks. For Malaysia, history has shown that the surrounding area of its territorial water are among the busiest international routes, which is the Strait of Malacca and South China Sea. As early as the 5th century, the sea travel from India, China, Arab, and the West has already been well established, involved in the inter-regional trade. The maritime passage throughout the area is often referred to as Silk Road. For that matter, Peninsula of Malaysia offers several ports that become famous at various times throughout the century. For example, Kedah is one of the earliest, and then followed by Malacca, Pahang, Terengganu, and Tioman Island. To date, there are 153 shipwreck sites that have been recorded under the National Heritage Department inventory system, and 66 have been surveyed and further studied. Under the National Heritage Act 2005, Act 645, there are 5 protected zones that have been designated and gazetted, namely the territorial water of Tanjung Tuan, Upih Island, and Besar Island in Malacca, Tioman Island, Labuan Territorial Waters, and Bidung Island. The protected zone is gazetted based on the criteria being given by the significant account of the maritime history of the designated area through an extensive research and finding. The result of this research and finding were further scrutinized under expert evaluation to provide strong decision in the gazetting process as the protected zone under the National Heritage Act 2005. And therefore, any site development plan for tourism and educational purposes should be mitigated towards heritage impact assessment. Department of National Heritage has expanded the field of underwater archaeological research as a smart partnership in collaboration with several local universities and public agencies to enhance expertise such as Bidung Island in Terengganu, Penjong Raid in Pahang, Penjong Wreck in Pahang, Malacca Sultanate Shipwreck in Malacca. Until now, the Peninsula of Malaysia is still seen as an important shipping lane for shipping activities that need to commute in the Strait of Malacca. North Borneo is also important in the 15th century as the vessel from the mainland of Southeast Asia will often go through its port for travel to the Philippines and local trades. Ladies and gentlemen, due to accidental discovery on the fish net by fishermen in 2012, lead to the series of several archaeological studies, and a remarkable finding of Sawan Kalok artifact marked the historical maritime routes between Terengganu and Satchanalai, Thailand, from 16th to 17th century. Since then, an extensive study has been carried out in a jointly organized study between National Heritage Department and UMT. The collaboration studies and underwater archaeologies salvage undertaken between National Heritage Department and UMT successfully produced archaeological data with the support of technical experts owned by each agency. Important historical data obtained from Bidong Island were then proven as important evidence of the maritime history of the East Coast as one of the early routes of international maritime trade, which also helped to build the country history and uncover the cultural layers of the maritime heritage in the past. Undoubtedly, sites as such will provide us with huge information regarding of our shared history and the development of civilization between nations. Effort toward rescue and salvaging heritage properties are in the line with the UNESCO recommendation and some international organizations, because by doing so, we not only salvage the historical and cultural treasures of the country, but also help to preserve the history of the world culture. On the other hand, there are also unavoidable issues that need to be faced, like the threat of the commercial exploitation of marine resources, treasure on relic center, and the impact of industrial seabed related activities have rendered underwater cultural heritage sites more accessible and therefore more vulnerable and exposed to utter destruction. This unregulated and inappropriate use and handling of detection device and methodology can cause serious damage to the sensitivity of the underwater culture heritage and is subject to severe penalties under the National Heritage Act 2005. The National Heritage Department is committed in implementing heritage conservation agenda through the enforcement of the National Heritage Act 2005. This act has provided several sections related to legislation and procedure relating to the underwater archaeological aspect as stated in Section 61 to Section 66. Any concern regarding legal issue involving underwater cultural heritage shall refer and comply with the provision as mentioned. I'm sure all our counterparts have encountered challenges and issues of illegal activities on their waters. The Malaysian authorities are also fully aware of the underwater treasures hunters' activities and have taken steps to combat these activities. Through our internal cooperation with the involvement of regional agencies like the state government and the enforcement authorities like Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency, National Hydrographic Center, Marine Operation Force, and Marine Department of Malaysia, this collaboration is the strategic partnership between agencies in safeguarding the territorial waters for the trespasses made by the relic hunter or illegal activities. It is seen as a pure effort and a form of solidarity among Malaysian agencies defending our legacy and treasures. Despite many issues and challenges in conducting underwater archaeology, the importance of regulation of archaeological research can be highlighted from two key aspects: science and economic. Sharing of knowledge and expertise in the term of scientific technologies is seen essential in assisting the scientific research and thus producing high value of information data in terms of development of shipping technology, shape, type of merchandise, navigation, military, and scientific aspect related to marine activities. Meanwhile, the finding of the shipwreck site can boost the economy through exhibition to the public as the tourist attraction either from within or outside the country. In further, I hope that there are more existing museums or galleries of maritime to boost the tourism industry. I do hope that each country presentation and shared experience can provide solution and further extensive research for future collaboration. Before I end my speech, I would like to extend my gratitude and best wishes to all participants and speakers for sharing their ideas. I also like to thank the Honourable Datuk Wira, Dr. Noor Zari, for the time spent today on officiating this event. I know that there will be many interesting and useful presentations today, both in the first and second session. Many good experience will be shared together and good lessons will be learned. We will learn throughout the day. Without further ado, I end my remarks speech here. Thank you and have a fruitful seminar and discussion. Thank you. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Yang Berusaha Encik Muhammad Azmi bin Muhammad Yusof atas ucapan pengenalan sebentar tadi. Dan sekarang para hadirin sekalian, sebelum kita memulakan sesi pembentangan pertama, kita akan berhenti seketika berehat selama 15 minit. Dan di samping itu juga diminta untuk para hadirin di Dewan, juga div-div kehormat kita untuk sama-sama menyaksikan pameran yang ada di sekitar Dewan ini, pameran arkeologi bawah air.
Ladies and gentlemen, we shall now take a short break before commencing with our program. And as you're departing the hall, we invite you to take a short look at the exhibits behind.
Dan sekali lagi diingatkan kepada mereka yang sedang menonton menerusi Facebook Live Jabatan Warisan Negara dan juga Facebook Universiti Malaysia Terengganu, sekiranya anda ingin memasuki seminar ini menerusi aplikasi Webex, anda boleh ke Facebook kedua-dua ini, Facebook Jabatan Warisan Negara dan Facebook Universiti Malaysia Terengganu, untuk klik kepada link yang ada di ruangan komen. Dan sekiranya anda menyertai seminar kita secara Webex, anda juga akan mendapatkan e-sijil nanti.
To the audience currently watching us on Facebook, if you'd like an e-certificate for attending this event, you can click on the Webex link provided. You follow the link and there will be a link in there where you can access an e-certificate. We'll see you again in 15 minutes. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.